What's up? I'm going to be going over an HDMI out test on the Retroid Pocket 2, and I'm going to be showing you how to get the 4:3 aspect ratio that most retro games use. So let's get right into it. So most TVs or monitors you use with the Pocket 2 will be put into 16:9 ratio, but you should be able to change that by changing the settings on your TV. You just have to put it into the aspect ratio, and then it will be in the same ratio as the Pocket screen, which is much better than having it stretched out in the 16:9. Some TVs will automatically go into this mode. Because on my smart TV, I didn't have to change any settings and it was just already in the 3:4 aspect ratio. Then you can use this like a retro home console system. If you use the Dig front end, then it works pretty well. You can just browse through all your systems and games a lot easier. And it works especially well with something like the Xbox One controller. But you can also use the Pocket as a controller if your HDMI cable is long enough. I did notice a small amount of input lag when using the Xbox controller, however. And I tried to use a PowerA GameCube controller for the Switch with it, and it did connect, but it had an extreme amount of input lag, so it was unusable. I still need to try my Switch Pro controller to see if that works any better. And I also want to test out my 8BitDo SN30 Pro. First up, I tried some single-player Mario Kart to see if the N64 was working fine. And it was. The Xbox controller worked really well with this, though you have to use the Mupen 64 emulator instead of the N64oid, because that one wasn't registering the triggers on the controller in the settings. And for some reason, it was using both the Xbox controller and the Retroid itself for player 1, even though I changed it in the settings. But in Mupen, it worked just fine when I changed it to the multiplayer settings. However, in Mupen, I generally had worse performance overall, even with trying to switch it to the different profiles. And in some games, multiplayer did cause worse performance, but I don't think it was ever to a point where it was unplayable. So for party games, this is a great option for some nostalgia. You can see here that the first level of Diddy Kong Racing ran totally fine, but then when we get on to the second level, it kind of stuttered through the whole thing. I'm not sure if it's just the other level being way more demanding, but when I did play it on my own, it definitely didn't stutter this bad. Here you can see that it's at 20 FPS most of the time, when the last stage was at a pretty much constant 30. While Diddy Kong Racing did have a bit of slowdown with some of the tracks, Pokemon Stadium didn't have any slowdown whatsoever with the minigames, so it's a really good party game that works really great. As for PS1, there's no problems here. This is Gundam Battle Assault 2, and it's working great on the big screen. This is Dreamcast with Crazy Taxi, and it looks good, but the dips in performance are way more noticeable when it's on a bigger screen. It's still fun, but you're probably not going to get any high scores on it. I'm still working on a video about new Dreamcast games playable on the Pocket 2. Turned out to be a little harder than I thought it was going to be, so that'll probably be my next video on Monday. This is the SNES with Mega Man X3, and it works perfect, so basically all lower end stuff has no problems that I found, and the multiplayer controller settings seem to work fine with RetroArch. That was my HDMI out test on the Retroid Pocket 2. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.